Hi, everybody. This is Bernadette. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're doing well. I have to say that lately I hear stories that entrepreneurs and companies are struggling on one side, and the other stories I hear are companies are doing extremely well. So, whatever your position is, I just want to encourage you to stay tuned because we are always talking to very interesting entrepreneurs. People will always give us some tips and also know from experience how it is to struggle a little bit. We always ask them how it was going before Corona, after Corona. So, stay tuned, especially today because today we are having a guest who's working in travel industry or actually MICE industry, and MICE stands for meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibitions. Now, it's a industry to my heart, as you all know, of course. And I also very interested because I think with the corona, the last 2 years, the travel industry, tourism, MICE industry changed a lot. And I think this is an industry who, one in any part of this time, it closed totally because of corona, which is very, very hard for these companies. But my guest today is from a very successful trade show, and he's from IBTM World. And their show will be in Barcelona from the 29th November to December 1. And 2 weeks ago, I gave a review about an event I was visiting, and that was Salon Nautico in Barcelona. Now, this trade show will be in Barcelona too. It will be the end of November, and I will be there, and I will, do a review. But today, I'm talking to David Thompson. He is the event director of IBTM World. That's a lot of experience, and he has a lot to tell because he has 20 years of experience in event industry. He worked for Informa, Clarion, BBC, Reed Exhibitions, and actually he was also the event director of 2 award-winning shows, not one, 2. So yeah, he has some experience, and I'm going to ask him some tips. So stay tuned. I think this is going to be a very interesting interview, and of course he's here today, David Thompson. Hello, David. Thank you for being here today. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Bernadette. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm actually very excited about this because ABTM is an event I've been year after year, and I'm very curious about how it's doing now and tell the listeners a little bit more about this. So I'm very happy that you're here today. I just, in my introduction, told the listeners a little bit more about IBTM, but what I was wondering if you could give us a little bit information about how many exhibitors, how many visitors, what are we talking about?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I share your excitement. It is only 4.5 weeks away, and we've got about 2,500 exhibitors who are suppliers to the meetings and events industry. So we'll have hotels, convention bureaus, we'll have technology providers, DMCs, attractions that all sit within different destinations around the world. And we'll have 2,500 hosted buyers that are largely event planners, global event planners, and a total of 12,000 attendees coming to Barcelona
That's a
for
lot.
three
That's a
for
lot.
3 days. Yeah, from over 100 countries. So you can really, the experience that we offer is that you can go round the world in 3 days. You
I
can all,
know, yeah.
which is amazing, right? It's
It
absolutely
is
amazing.
amazing, and you get really in the vibe. When I was there all the time, by the time I'm halfway, I just don't remember anymore that I'm in Barcelona. I'm just like in some kind of planet where everything comes together, and it's really much fun to be there. Yeah, I noticed. So that's a big event, and also, how many years is IBTM World there
It,
in Barcelona?
yeah, so this will be its 35th anniversary.
Wow. Yeah, it's so, you know the drill. It's there for a long time. And that's probably also why it was an award-winning show in 2020 and 2021. That's amazing, 2 years in a row. And these were very, very difficult years.
They were indeed, yeah, but I think it just shows the innovation and the development that we've tried to build into IBTM World. The show may have been running for 35 years, but we constantly are having to make sure that we are presenting new ideas, a new approach, because this industry, as you know very well, is always evolving, and it's
Yeah,
evolving faster now than it's ever done. And so the game that we play is, are we always being relevant? And are we always
right, right,
guiding and leading our industry into the kind of next stage that
right.
our industry faces?
Well, I can imagine, especially because with that thought in mind, after 2 years of Corona, I mean, I love travel. So everywhere I go these last years, there are a lot of countries still struggling with the tourism. They still want to have the tourists back. People are kind of focused locally. And I was wondering, that's why I was amazed that you were still having live events in these years. And I was wondering, do you see any difference before Corona or after Corona? Everybody have their own story. So what's the story of IBTM World about that?
Yeah, so I think we've definitely gone on a journey, and I'm sure the journey is very similar to the rest of the meetings and events
Yeah,
industry. And hopefully our story kind of gives some insight and some confidence to everyone else as well. Of course, 2019 was a big year for the show, a big year for the industry. We had record numbers, which then went on for us to go on and win an award for the event. 2020, of course, saw a shutdown of pretty much all events, and it was the same for us. So we ran an online virtual experience, which
right.
again was an extremely successful event that delivered for our stakeholders, partners, community. We then got back to live events last year in 2021, and it was a challenging year. There's no getting away from it. But the outcome and of delivering a live in-person event that saw approximately 7,000 attendees um, was deemed a real success, and it was really the first kind of major event in Europe that we got back, and we really did have the world at the show last year. You
Yeah,
know, we had South Africa, we had Malaysia, we had also Egypt, um, a huge amount of Europe, of course. So we really did have the world at IBTM in Barcelona last year, and this year we go on to being even bigger. So to give the industry a gauge, I would say that we're on course to be about 85% of the size of 2019.
wow.
And based on our projections, we expect that by next year in 2023, we will surpass 2019 levels, which is moving forward faster than we initially anticipated. I think back in 2020, we forecast that we would see getting back to 2019 levels by 2024, 2025. So we're about a year to a year and a half ahead of what we initially thought.
Right. But do you see any difference in, I mean, even not in only in quantity, but also in different topics? For example, I can imagine that after Corona, flight industry changed, I think, also with the sustainability around the corner. It's always hanging around in the flight industry. but maybe the travelers want have different demands. I can imagine that traveling maybe more luxury or maybe not. So are there any difference in that department in your event now?
So I think the big thing is, and it's got better than last year, but it's still it's going in the right direction. But a lot of things are happening later. There's no getting away from that. Last year it was
Yeah.
very late, if I'm honest. This year it has moved a little bit. People are making choices a little further out, but not to the levels that they were back in 2019. And of course that's around, the uncertainty that we saw last year, which we're further away from COVID. There is more certainty in the market, and so people are more confident now around travel than they were last year. In terms of sustainability, there, I think people are definitely more conscious, Bernadette. We are at a stage now where we are the industry, the majority of the industry is learning. And what we're looking for is we're looking for guidance and we're looking for more training. We want to, yes, definitely have an experience when we travel that does make us feel like we're actually giving something back. There is an element of trying to do the right thing. And so we at IBTM World are trying to do more around that space. We are looking at building out a much greener event. We are on a path to become a carbon neutral event, and we are learning more and more about how to become that.
Yeah.
And also we're doing various talks and events that are happening through IBTM World that are addressing this topic as well. Um,
Is the event, just by the way, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of that. Are the visitors mostly, is it mostly B2B or is it mostly B2C? I feel that there was a lot of B2B.
The
Yeah.
B2B is primarily, is
Yeah.
primarily
Yeah. Okay.
the main body of the shows is people that run B2B events
Yeah.
on a global scale
Right.
that then get to meet with primarily these destinations and their partners, that then these destinations help these event planners plan and run their event in
Right.
that
Right. Right.
destination.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's I saw with the numbers you mentioned, which is a lot of exhibitors. 2,500 is a lot. And we have some comparative numbers. And I know, for example, Miami Boat Show, who's the biggest boat show of the world, has 2,200. That's the biggest one. So it's a big show. But I saw a huge number of meetings. Huge. I thought, okay, that must be like one-to-one meetings. People flying from all over the world and meeting there on your event. It's like a platform where people meet, right? That's a
Yeah,
big.
absolutely. I mean, if there was one thing you were going to ask me about, if there's one thing that I'm an expert in, is it's about how to create different meeting scenarios and creating experiences. And our primary meeting experience is through our hosted buyer program.
Right.
So we host 2,500 buyers. We fly them in from all over the world who have been verified. So we've basically interviewed them, we've got reference checks from them, and they've identified that they are actively looking to spend money in investing in global events. And then, we bring them in, they pre-schedule their meetings, and
Right.
then they basically have around 30 meetings planned on average over the 3 days with our different destinations and their partners.
So is there also a possibility, for example, for smaller organizations thinking of, I would love to meet some investors, I would love to have some one-on-one meetings. So what do? They just go to the website, or is there somebody, can you help them with them? Can you organize it for them? Is
So
that
there's
a
two di- so
possibility?
yes, so there's two different audiences here. There's a group of buyers that we host specifically, so we pay for their flights and accommodation. So if any of your audience that are listening now that do actively run events globally and they would like to come to Barcelona, then they are very welcome to contact us, and then
Yeah.
they will kind of go through our vetting process. And if they qualify, then as I say, we will pay for their flights and accommodation to be in the event and to meet with our exhibitors. However, there is a much larger group of people that actually come as visitors. So we have about 7,000 visitors. And I
Right.
think that's the category maybe that you would sit in Bernadette, in terms of being able to come in, register, and then roam around the exhibition uh,
Yeah.
and meet with as many people as you want. Um, and that is open to anyone in industry. I mean,
Yeah.
it's anyone within, the meetings and events industry. They are very, very welcome. Everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
Outside of the industry, not so much, but yeah, of course, within the meetings and events industry, you are
Well,
very
I can
welcome.
imagine, but I'm talking from my own experience that if you are thinking of doing anything in that industry, or you're still looking for opportunities, that's of course a big source of inspiration. If you're there and you see all these stands and all this, you hear all the stories and you have all the conferences you are having. If you want to be inspired to be in that industry, well, this is your event to go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We ask that question to everyone that attends, like, what is their primary reason for coming? The biggest one is around the meetings. People come to really, they recognize IBTM World as a place to build their network.
Yeah.
We we recognize, if you come to IBTM World over 3 days, you can pick up 6 months worth of leads and opportunities that you wouldn't have done beforehand. But the second
Right.
part of that answer to that question is also they come to the show for inspiration, because as I say,
Yeah.
just going around the exhibition floor on its own is inspiring, because you really do get to see the culture of all of these different destinations, and you get this worldly experience. On top of that, we also do have fantastic conference programs, and we have invested so much more into the content this year than we've ever done.
Right,
And so
right,
we've got some of the world leading experts that will be speaking from our knowledge program and also from our accelerate stage.
right. Is there only, I don't know, but I see I already visited lots of events this year, and I can see there are two different things. A lot of events have something to do with sustainability, or a green route, or a special workshop you can do for free, anything, anything in sustainability. But the other thing, and that's something I'm very interested myself, is more technical. And some of them have, for example, apps you can download about the event, and so you can connect with visitors or stands there. Do you have anything like that? Like a way to connect with the stands or the people walking there. Is there anything you have in that area?
Yeah, so yeah, just to kind of break up your question there. So first and foremost, what you mentioned about the app. Yep, everyone can download the IBTM World app. They can download it now, actually. We would recommend that you do, because we are pushing out a load of announcements through the app that maybe you won't see anywhere else. And so you'll get to see firsthand the latest keynotes, the latest new sessions that we've got coming out.
Right.
And so, yeah, we highly recommend it. Even if you didn't come, we still recommend you download the app, because it's a great news source basically
Yeah.
for the industry.
That's a good tip.
Um,
That's a good tip. Yeah.
but you also asked me about, I think, what free workshops that sit around some of the key topics such as sustainability.
Well,
We
actually,
have
yeah.
done, yeah, go on. Sorry, no,
I'm
go
sorry,
for it.
but with the app, is there also a possibility to connect with people
Yeah,
on that? That's okay. That was my question, actually. Okay. Yeah. And then the
my
sustainability. You're right.
my apologies. Yes, you can absolutely. So on the app, you can see all of the exhibitors, and then you can message those exhibitors and connect with them
That's
and
fun.
arrange to
That's
kind of
great.
go and
That's
meet with them.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's
That's
great. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, did you what? Yes, in terms of the content, so we do extensive research, and then we've also brought in specialists to help us really curate the best quality content we can, and all of the content is free to attend. But
Yeah.
I'm not just saying this. I've done now 5. This will be my 5th event personally, and this really is the best content that I've seen us produce.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
but partly because of the investment that we've put into it, but also the approach that we've gone for. What we've done this year more than ever is we've pulled out who are the real innovators in the market.
Yeah.
We know that this market's going through significant change, right? And so
Yeah.
what we want to do is we wanted to partner with and bring in the real innovators, the ones that are leading the change and actually delivering the change successfully. And then that's able to then give our attendees some real case study insight into how they can go back and then run their events successfully as well. So we've got some
Hey, that,
fantastic speakers.
and
Um,
I think actually that's one of the main reason why I think that anybody who is in MICE industry or travel industry, small or big, should visit, because I think you're right. The world is changing a lot, and this industry is changing so much and so quickly that I think if you don't change with it, you will probably have a very hard time to keep up and have your business, successful, keep it successful as well. So I think this is the time. If there's any time where you should teach yourself about the changes in the world and the trends, this is the time actually. And I think that IBTM World in Barcelona is like a great opportunity to do that in many ways. So
I mean,
that's
just to
great.
add, yeah, just to add to what you said, Bernadette, we literally do have trends report sessions. So you can
Yeah,
come along. We have our consultant, Alistair Turner, who spends 6 months basically pulling together a detailed global trends report, which he will be launching at IBTM World from the
okay.
Knowledge Program. We also have our great partner in Amex as well, and so they'll be launching their global and events trends report as well. And one of the most innovative agencies that we're working with this year is an agency called Wonder. And they will also be doing an interview and talking about what's happening right now in our industry. Where is our industry sitting today, and what does it look like tomorrow? So you're going to get lots of insight into, yeah, where are we at now and what does our
Yeah,
future look like?
right. Wow, I think one day going is actually not enough, to be honest, because there's so much to do and so much to see. Just a small one. If you have, there we have a lot of listeners also in as event organizers, for example, or travel journalists. They are small entrepreneurs. They have small companies. Are there any tips that you can give them in relation to that industry, that changing industry, actually? If they are struggling, maybe you have some tips. These are difficult times for a lot of companies. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think what they would have learned as an entrepreneur, you learn this very quickly, is connections. It,
Yeah,
it makes it makes all the difference. And so my advice is come to IBTM World and build those connections. A lot of small businesses right now need this injection of new business, and
yeah,
at IBTM World you can get that. So I think for me that would be my advice is come to IBTM World, do the 3 days. There's multiple meeting platforms so
yeah,
that it doesn't just have to be the pre-scheduled meetings from hosted by us or walking up to exhibition stands. There are a lot of different environments and scenarios that we have curated that will make it easy for you to really build up these new connections. So for me, my advice is, and I know that they already know this, as an entrepreneur, that connections and relationships are absolutely key to the growth of your
I
business.
think,
So
yeah.
that would be my advice.
I think it's good advice, and I also think that maybe we lower the bar a little bit for people to show up on EBTM World, because I think I know from experience it's such an inspirational day. So I think everybody should go. Again, it's from 29th of November up till December 1 in Barcelona. Well, there's another good reason to go this way because Barcelona is great for shopping. And to be honest, December, Christmas around the corner, I would say make it a long weekend and take your loved ones. But no, I think it's a very interesting event. And thank you so much. You told us so much information. And I think a lot of people listening now thinking, okay, we want to go there. Now, if you want to know more about David Thompson and him as a person and of course, IBTM World trade show, and you want to get in touch, go to our own website. He has a small information page like we always do with our podcast, and you can see how to reach him or how to go to the website. So our website is www.EuropeanLifeMedia.com. Go to podcasts, and there you see our podcast, and David will be on there. So thank you so much, David, for all your information and for your talk. It was very motivating for me personally, but I think also for all the listeners. And so for all these listeners, in the end of November, I, of course, will be there. And just like all my other podcasts about reviewing events, I will reviewing IBTM as well. I will tell you all about it, take you by the hand and go over this show. And so hope to see you there. Well, in the meantime, David, thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you, Bernadette. It was a pleasure.
Definitely. And we see more and hear more about IBTM. Download this app, go to the website, and I hope you have a great time in this trade show. For now, I want to thank you all for listening. I wish you a wonderful weekend and, of course, hope to see you soon and see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening today. Please subscribe and share this podcast. Do you have a question or a story to share? Please find us at podcast@EuropeanLifeMedia.com.